all heard the saying, be careful what you wish for, because sometimes it can come at a price. Hey there, my name is Marja, and this is Movies with Marja, or the Movie Motif Podcast. And today I'm going to be talking about what I believe will go down in history as a cult classic, Obsession. So, Obsession is a 2026 psychological supernatural horror film directed by Curry Barker, starring Michael Johnston and Indy Nevaretti. The film centers around the main character, played by Michael Johnston. His character, Bear, has a crush on the other lead character, Indy Nevaretti's character, Nikki, and he, I guess, is a little nervous to tell her how he feels. So instead of just saying, hey, I like you, do you want to go get a cup of coffee? He decides to go to a metaphysical type shop and buy this little trinket called the One Wish Willow and wishes that Nikki would be obsessed with him and he be the only person in the world that she loves. So, let's take a deep dive into some of the things that happened on set and about the film. So Obsession is considered an independent film because it had a budget of only $750,000. And let's just say they were onto something because with a small budget like that, it blew up. And within 48 hours, it was making millions and millions of dollars at the box office. And it is still one of the biggest films at the box office right now. What was the brainchild behind Obsession, and where did Curry get this idea? Well, would you believe it if I said that Curry Barker got the idea for Obsession after watching an episode of The Simpsons? No! There is an episode in The Simpsons where Bart has this monkey's paw thing and starts making kind of wild wishes, and let's just say all hell breaks loose and there's some consequences to that. And that is where Curry Barker got his inspiration of coming up with this One Wish Willow concept. He said in an interview that he almost wanted to do like a monkey paw type of thing and then was like, no, let me add my own spin on it, because he was saying there's never really any movies that have a concept of someone making a wish and it going wrong. So let me make my version of it, and that's where he came up with the One Wish Willow. So now, with that being said, where did he get the idea to make this? Where did Curry Barker exactly get the One Wish Willow mock up concept from? Well, let's relate it back to your childhood days. Did you ever have that social studies project, science fair project, or even a poster board project? And it was kind of due at the last second, and you go tell your mom, like, hey, I need some help. I need some supplies because such and such is due like the next day. Well, that's where moms come into play. Curry Barker's mom is a graphic designer, and she came through with helping him out on the concept of the little mechanism of the One Wish Willow. He was like, I want to relate this back to a kind of retro feel, maybe 50s or 80s style. So, hey, mom, can you help me with that? And that's exactly what Curry's mom did. And he also told her that he wanted it to be like this little inviting piece, but also an element of kind of creepiness to it, because as seen here in this picture, it's like the little kind of branch willow bark, if you will, and you crack it in half. So therefore, it's not scary off the bat. It has the kind of spooky tendencies, but that's where she came into play with helping him craft something that looks innocent but has some sinister meaning. Dad came in and saved the day as well. So originally, Curry wanted this film to kind of have a Romeo and Juliet-esque type ending where Nikki dies among her friend group. But then after the dad helped him kind of read over the script, he was like, you know, son, I think you should change the script and have Nikki be the quote, final girl. So let's talk about the theming and symbolism of this film. Yes, on the surface, many may say that this film is just a wish gone wrong and she's a crazy girlfriend. But is that really the case? This film explores wants and desires. Everybody wants something, everybody wishes for something, and with that, there's nothing wrong with it. But how far would you go to do such a thing if it meant being selfish? One would say that Bear is the victim because his wish went wrong and this psycho chick lashes out at him. But if you think about it, who is the one who made the wish and took someone else's control and ability to say how they truly felt away from them? Yes, Nikki on the surface screams, yells, whines, and yeah, goes a little nutty. But it's kind of sad in a way because herself that's trapped inside of her, and now this entity is what is coming out in the lashing out moments, in the you don't love me moments. That's not Nikki, that is the entity, and Nikki cannot break free, but there are little snippets that you can see. You can see that little glimmer of hope, if you will, of the true trapped Nikki in there trying to come out, and that's what makes this film. There was many emotions. It's frustrating in a good way. It's sad. It's keeps you on your toes. It's scary. It really does literally pull you in because it's like, oh my god, this poor girl, she's trapped in her own body, but this thing is taking over her and she can't get out. So the only way that it's showing this is her screaming and whining and going a little ape. It's one thing for a film to be very entertaining, but I love a movie that has hidden symbolism and makes you think. And this film, on the surface, is not just your run of the mill psychological scary movie. It really does make you think. And there's many things that I missed in this film that were brought to my attention later, and it is one of those films where if you do go see it multiple times, you will notice something different every time, and it just makes my brain even more enlightened, like, wow, this is really good, and this is why this film really has so many high accolades and good reviews. Another very cool and fascinating thing that I found out about this film, I was watching some videos of the costume designer, and she was explaining how she can incorporate the outfits having some meaning to the film. So it's not just clothes. And specifically with Nikki's character, if you've seen the film, we see that, you know, Nikki kind of has a very cool, laid back, kind of like punky 2000s vibe to her. She has like denim and like a black tank similar to the one I have on, things like that. And but they're more like just hip normal clothes. But then when Bear makes the wish, we start to see some of the color schemes of her clothing kind of change as she's changing. And specifically, the costume designer said, what can I do and how can I incorporate colors and make that symbolize something? And she started to play around with dark colors, not just black, but like deep reds and deep burgundies and things that could bounce back between the different shadows. And I just found that really fascinating that even something as simple as the attire you wear has a meaning behind the story. There was no CGI. Everything was practical effects. I mean, down to the makeup. There is a specific scene in here where Nikki is staring at Bear in the dark while he's sleeping, and just looking at that, if you didn't know that there was no intricate makeup process, it really does look like she's like demonic. But all it is just specific shading and contouring with just regular run-of-the-mill makeup. You can literally look up a video on how they did it on TikTok, YouTube, anywhere, and it's just incredible that with the budget that they had, they made this look so extraordinaire. Um, I have said this before. There are films out there that have had all the incorporations of CGI and it does not look good. But this, with just basic makeup, some shading, some bronzing, it looks fantastic. And that's why this movie is, in my opinion, one of the best, not just horror, but just one of the best films of 2026. There's also a lot of foreshadowing in this film that when I saw it, I missed this. And this, again, is why I love movies like this because it's a movie that makes you think, it keeps you on your toes, it keeps you guessing. And if you watch it multiple times and there's something new that you discover each time, that right there is brilliant, magnificent writing. So to Curry Barker because that is genius writing right there. And the fact that he has said in multiple interviews that he has never seen a film done in this type of fashion. Of course, there are other movies out there about people being obsessed and going a little crazy, but in this type of setting, if you will, where it's wish related and this person is trapped and taken over by something. You haven't really seen a lot of films like that. And that's why I think many people are giving it the praise it definitely deserves, and especially Indy's performance. I mean, the girl has said in several interviews that she had to learn how to scream. They didn't have a budget for stunt people or an instructor to give them instructions on that. So that in itself is just brilliant, and that's why I think indie films, we need to keep them alive because you never know, a small budget film can blow up into something super magical. There's other films like that. I mean, you have Moonlight, who was started like this and blew up. You have Whiplash. I can go on and on, but this is another one that definitely hits the list of your small budget films just exploding into a phenomena. So, in conclusion, if you haven't learned your lesson already, as I said before, be careful what you wish for. Thank you so much for watching this episode of Movies with Marja. Stay tuned for more videos like this. And until next time, stay tuned and see you soon.